I need to tell you a secret. I never really wanted to go to Germany. I kind of got dragged there kicking and screaming, mainly when we were homeschooling our daughter and she was doing history. I'm like, right, fine, it's an important part of the world, you need to learn about this stuff. I was wrong. It was epic. Absolutely epic. So much so that I'm doing it at the February 2023 Camping Caravan and Motorhome show. I'm talking all about touring in Germany, especially around the Black Forest and Bavaria. So this is this talk. Imagine that you are at the Inspiration Theatre in the NEC and let us dive right in.
How many people here have been to Germany? No! Do you know what? I think you're the best travel lot of the lot. How many people here would like to go to Germany with your motorhome, caravan, campervan? Excellent, you are in the right place. And how many people are here under duress or just wanted somewhere to sit down in the first 20 minutes? Not a problem. And I asked that a little bit tongue-in-cheek, and well done for being honest. There's a few of you actually. This corner is the trouble corner, I can tell. But I actually never wanted to go to Germany. It wasn't on my bucket list. I was like, yeah, there's so many other places I wanted to explore. But my husband has lived there for a couple of years, and my daughter was studying history for her GCSEs. So they were like, let's go to Germany. And I was like, do we have to? But I have to say I was wrong, and it is now one of my favourite places in Europe that I have explored. So give me 20 minutes. Let me see if I can change your mind, and I will start with a little teaser.
Hi, I'm Kat, author of several books and owner of the motorhome touring website Wandering Bird. In 2018, I quit my job as an air traffic controller and set out to explore Europe in a motorhome with my husband and our teenage daughter. One of my favourite places so far has been Germany, especially the southern regions of Bavaria and the Black Forest. Join me in an adventure through this region, filled with incredible castles, beautiful waterfalls, pretty villages, epic biking roads, more castles, mountains we didn't mean to climb, pristine lakes, historical marvels, and one of the best toboggan runs we've ever found. Oh, and castles. Did I mention the castles? It is an incredible, incredible place. Right, let us start at the beginning. If you are planning a road trip, where do you start? Somewhere like Germany, you can start from many places, and the place that I tend to start when I'm planning my own road trips is I start with specific places I want to visit or things that I want to do. So in this example, we have a map here with Germany, certainly southwestern Germany, and there are places on there that I very much want to go and visit. For example, I want to ride the B500 road. I want to visit Hohenzollern Castle and Neuschwanstein Castle. I want to go up Zugspitze, Germany's highest mountain. And these are all the points that I have put in before we've even visited the country, just by doing some research. And I find those out by blogs like Wandering Bird, and also by watching YouTube videos, and also on Pinterest. Pinterest is amazing for finding places to visit. And I use Google Maps, and I'll just put all the points in. And again, when you've got these points in, it's, you could tackle that in a million different ways. But if you look at it a little bit closely, one route idea is kind of a circle. And we are going to tackle that circle in an anti-clockwise direction. And that will just give us a little bit of structure to this chat. Now, of course, you can go clockwise, you could just go zigzag, you could go as far away as possibly can, so start all the way down in that point down to the southeast. That is the Eagle's Nest, so you could start as far away as possible and then wend your way back. That's definitely another way of doing it, and an option that we've done with several of our road trips. But for this one, let us go in an anti-clockwise direction, which means that we get to start at one of my favourite spots, and that is the Black Forest, right down there in southwestern Germany. Now, before I dive in, there are a couple of things to consider. Firstly, you need to think about whether you're going to take the ferry or the tunnel. Now, to get to Germany, I'd probably take the tunnel unless you live somewhere like right down in Cornwall, but either way, you've got to do that drive, and the tunnel is a lot more flexible and often a little bit cheaper at the moment, especially if you use your Tesco Club Card vouchers. You also need to think about things that you must take with you. So Europe has some very strict laws about what you have to carry with you in your motorhome or your campervan, things that we don't have to worry about here in the UK. So make sure that you have got all of those with you, and also make sure your van is prepared for such a long trip. So check your tyres, maybe take it in for a service, all of the things just to make sure that you have an enjoyable trip. If you want a checklist on those things and also the things that you legally need to carry with you in Europe, there's a link in the notes. You can just go and click that. Right, let's start with our tour in the Black Forest, and it is one of my favourite places. There are so many things. I've put a few of the highlights up here, but there are so many places to explore, and even just driving around. Now, admittedly, we've done a lot of our exploring around here on a motorbike, and I will get to that shortly. But even if you've got a motorhome or a campervan, there are so many places that you can visit in this area. So I'm going to dive into a few of them. First is Triberg. Now, Triberg is home to one of the highest waterfalls in Germany, and it's really pretty waterfall. If you are going to visit, it does get quite busy, so I would suggest you go either quite early in the morning or sort of towards dusk. I believe they shut around dusk, so make sure that you check the timings because they do vary throughout the year. But it is a really pretty waterfall. However, for me, the best part about Triberg is actually the centre of the town, and it is home to thousands and thousands of cuckoo clocks. Indeed, this is actually the house of 1,000 clocks, and every half hour it itself turns into one of the world's largest cuckoo clocks, and the things chime and the bears go up and down, and it's just, you're just standing there going, what is going on here? But it's really fun, and they've got a couple of these around the Black Forest, but Triberg's got one of the biggest ones. As you can see, it's a 3-story, in fact 4-story building there. So yeah, it's just quite fun that the whole thing comes alive. They've also apparently got the world's smallest cuckoo clock, but we couldn't find it, and I don't know if that was a joke or not, because we did try to look, but we couldn't find it. So if you do go, that might be something to hunt for. Another one of my favourite places in the Black Forest is Tottenham. Now, Tottenham also has its own waterfalls, not quite as spectacular as Triberg, but it's still pretty. But the best thing about Tottenham, apart from the air, which is really nice, and it was £10 a night, and you just pay in cash in the little envelope, and it was really easy. But the best thing about Tottenham is the toboggan run. Now, I thought toboggan run would be, you know, like one of those little mats, like a helter-skelter kind of thing. No, this is Germany. It's insane. It's on rails. You have your own brake. This is my husband and daughter.
Oh, why would it drop?
Oh, 90-degree bend.
90-degree bend!
We have been back, we very rarely go back to places twice, and we have been back to Tottenham twice just to do this Rodelbahn, which is the German name for toboggan run. It's just epic, really epic. Now, any motorcyclists in here, raise your hand, make yourself known. You have to ride the B500. It's one of the best roads, certainly in Europe, but probably in the world. It is flat, it is smooth, it is well tarmacked, the views are insane, the corners are just magic, and the German drivers know how to deal with motorcyclists. I don't know whether it's something that they're taught in their driving schools or whether they just pick it up from each other, but they pull over, they look out for you. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. There are quite a few speed checks though, so be careful when you ride it. But the B500 is just magic, and it runs from Baden-Baden, which is beautiful spa town, and well worth visiting for a day if you get a chance. And it goes all the way south from there, right into the heart of the Black Forest. It's magic. You can absolutely drive it with a motorhome or a campervan as well, because it's a proper road and the views are stunning. There aren't many places to pull over, certainly aren't many lay-bys like the one that you can see pictured there. There are very few of those, but there are several cafes and rest stops, so you can stop and enjoy a coffee on your way. But it's just a really fun road. Hohenzollern Castle, the first of our castles, of which there are many in this talk. I'll be honest, this is not my picture, because to get this picture you need a really high-powered drone and you need permission to fly it in that particular area, and so that was never going to happen. But this picture sums up the beauty of this castle. It's perched on the top of a hill. The stone, especially at sunset, is just glows. It's really golden and pretty, and you can walk all the way around it. They've also got these really cool catacombs. It's actually where the legend of the woman who haunts the castles came from, and it was a story about a woman who apparently killed her children because she wanted to marry the lord of the castle. He was so disgusted by the fact that she'd killed her children that he refused to marry her, so she killed herself. It's quite a tragic story really, but apparently she wanders the halls looking for somebody, either the lord or the kids, one of the two. But it is a really fun castle to visit. One thing you can actually do, which we didn't find out until we got there, is you can actually stay. You can pay to stay overnight on the car park of the castle. Now obviously there are no facilities, but you can pay to stay in their car park. I believe it was €10 when we visited, and that would have been really good fun because I think you get a bit of an early entry, or certainly get on the first entry as well. Like with most of the castles, make sure you buy your tickets before you go in the bus up the top. But yeah, definitely add that one to your bucket list. Talking about places to stay, there are plenty of places all around the Black Forest, plenty of campsites. Now we don't tend to use campsites when we're touring because we don't really know where we're going. We make it up as we go along, but there are two that we have used on our various journeys to this area. One was right in the middle of the Black Forest. This is the first one on the left, and I'm not going to try to pronounce that name because I will embarrass myself and anybody else who speaks vaguely passable German. But it was a really, really pretty campsite right in the middle of the Black Forest. So if you are going with a motorcycle or with bikes and you want a base, definitely recommend that one. And then the other one was down near Neuschwanstein Castle, which we will get to shortly, but there are very few airs around that area. They want you to stay in campsites, so that was one that we stayed in with Camping Banwaldsee, and that was beautiful. You could see the mountains in the background, really, really pretty. But the option that we tend to do whilst we are touring are airs. So an air is an approved motorhome parking stopover, and it is basically, it can be several different options. It could be a big car park, it could be a big gravel pitch, it could be grass. They tend to have very few facilities, very few of them have electric. Some of them have a sort of a waste disposal area and a place that you can get fresh water. You have to pay an additional fee most of the time for that. Top tip, keep your €1 and €2 coins because you'll need them all the time when you're using the services at Airs. Some of them are free. They tend to be in the smaller villages, the free ones, to encourage people to go and visit the village. But many of them in the more built up towns they have a small fee, so €5 to €15 for a night. So it's a lot cheaper than a campsite. And the best bit about them is nobody can book them in advance. Not even, I want to make a joke here about Germans and towels on sunbeds, but nobody can book them in advance. So you have got just as much chance of getting a spot as anybody else who's coming. So it's really brilliant system, and we tend to use them. The way that we find them is using the Park for Night app. They've also got a website as well, and that's a really good way of searching out places to stay and just finding out what's around the area that you want to visit. So that's how we tend to tour without booking everything up months in advance. Right, back to our journey. So we are now leaving the Black Forest and we're travelling eastbound down along the German-Swiss, and then it becomes the Austrian border. And the thing that you'll notice down there is Lake Constance. Now, we didn't spend a lot of time exploring Lake Constance, which is a shame because you can see how beautiful it is. But we were in a hurry to get to more castles, actually. But there are so many things you can do on that area. You can hire boats or canoes or paddle boards, or you can just sit, and they've got some fantastic campsites with views. The nice thing about being on the German side is you've got the views across the Swiss and the Austrian Alps. As you can see, they're pretty spectacular. So if you've got time, definitely add in Lake Constance to your journey. But we were in a hurry to get here. This is Neuschwanstein Castle, and this is the castle that inspired the legend that is Walt Disney. He apparently visited here with his wife, and he was like, this castle is incredible. This is what I want to base my Cinderella Disney castle, the one that Tinkerbell flies over in front of every Disney movie, is on this. Now again, disclaimer, this is not my photo because again, you needed a proper drone and the license. But also when we visited, the front had scaffolding all over the place, so it didn't look quite like that, which was a shame. Now, a couple of quick tips for Neuschwanstein. There is parking for motorhomes. P4 it was when we visited. I would suggest that you get there quite early in the morning to make sure that you get a spot, especially like we had quite a long motorhome with a trailer, so we wanted to make sure that we could get a really big space, and there was space to accommodate us. It was fine, and they've actually got really good parking attendants on to direct you to the appropriate spot because it is one of the most visited places in all of Europe, I believe. Millions of people turn up there every single year. Once you are parked up, you have to buy your tickets from the bottom of the hill. So many people go up the hill, then realise that they can't buy tickets there, and then have to come all the way back down again and buy tickets. They've got tours scheduled, I think it's every 10 or 15 minutes, but in different languages. So make sure that you buy the time in the appropriate language for whatever you want to listen to it in. And then you need to make sure that you allow yourself enough time to get from the bottom to the top of the hill. So don't buy a tour that's going to start in 5 or 10 minutes because you're not going to make it. Now normally there are several options to get up to the top of the hill. They've got the buses that just run constantly, but they weren't running when we were there. So there were two options of walking, which trying to drag our teenage daughter up this hill didn't appeal to me. So we took the horse and cart, and we were so excited because we got to go right on the front of the cart and the three of us was perched up there, and it was all beautiful and idyllic. Except for the fact that these horses, it was quite early in the morning, and all they did the whole journey was they passed wind and they passed poop. The whole way up, it was disgusting. It put us off horse and cart rides for life. But it is a magical way to get up there. Now, when you are up there, one thing I suggest you do, if you've got time before your tour, is walk a little bit further up from when you get dropped off, and you will see the signs to Marion-Brook Bridge. And Marion-Brook Bridge is a suspension bridge that goes across the gorge, and this is where you get these incredible views of the castle going down the valley behind it. That is my footage. And we went, obviously, it was a beautiful, beautiful day, and yeah, it was just stunning. We really enjoyed being able to go up there and see the view of the castle itself. You can also do that after your tour, of course. Now, we weren't allowed to take photos inside the castle, but has anyone been? The fairy grotto was amazing, really worth doing. The throne room was a bit bleak, and there's not a huge amount of decor inside, but just being there was quite good fun, and seeing what King Ludwig was trying to achieve with his creation. There's also another castle right there, which is Hohenschwangau. Now, we were a bit castled out, so we took photos, but we didn't actually go inside. But I believe you can buy a ticket that allowed you entrance to the two if you want to. Now, if you want to go for a meal after Neuschwanstein, don't go to the restaurants at the bottom of the hill, because they are really touristy, which means that the service isn't brilliant and the prices are like hugely inflated. If you go to Füssen, which is gorgeous, got these beautiful German painted buildings, and there's so many restaurants there where you can pass a very pleasant evening, or lunch if you are going at that sort of time. But yeah, Fussen's well worth visiting. Now, the Neuschwanstein Castle is the bottom of the romantic road. So if you wanted to, you could now start heading back northbound, and that could be your circle. If you've got time, there are a couple of other places that I recommend you add to your itinerary. So the first of those is Zugspitze. Now, Zugspitze is Germany's highest mountain, and I love this quote because Germany's all like, oh yeah, Zugspitze, our biggest mountain, but half of it is actually Austrian, so half's German, half Austrian, and it's like, I think it's 15th biggest in Austria, so the Austrians are like, meh, it's not even that exciting, but the Germans are all like, yay, I've climbed this. And they've got a gold post on the top, and you can actually watch people climbing up there and getting all excited. Now, there is plenty of parking, and there's a couple of ways you can get up the mountain. One is by cable car, which was my vote, but I was outvoted, and we went up on the cog railway, which was quite cool. So you're literally just a little train that takes you up the mountain all the way to, well, nearly all the way to the top. They've got a little restaurant up there, so you can just visit for the day. So that was really good fun. Another place that I recommend you visit, and it's really close to Neuschwanstein, is Weißkirche. Now, Weißkirche, it actually means white church, and again, I'm so sorry if anyone speaks German, I am probably butchering this, but I'm doing my best. And this is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's actually a pilgrimage site after tears were seen on a statue of Christ. And it's unclear whether they built this church or whether it became a pilgrimage site after that. But what is clear is when you walk in, it's quite a plain looking church on the outside. When you walk in, it is breathtaking, absolutely stunning. And again, if you can go earlier in the day, you'll get it more to yourself, and it's just, the atmosphere is beautiful. So I really, really recommend that you visit that one. Now, the last place on my extra bits is the Eagle's Nest, and this is a little bit more of a commitment. This is about a 3-hour drive east of Neuschwanstein. It's quite a long way, so you're probably going to add about 2 days to your tour, but if you've got the time, it's well worth visiting. Not just because of the connection to Hitler, but just the sheer scale of what they built. And the gold lift, if anyone's been, this incredible gold lift that you just walk through in the tunnel to get there, it's really cool. Don't worry about driving your motorhome up to it, because you don't. What you do is you park at the bottom and then you get on a bus, and the bus takes you all the way up there. It's quite straightforward. There's not a huge amount of memorabilia there, and there's certainly, the Germans have got this really difficult task between,
They don't want to celebrate what happened, but they also don't want to pretend that it didn't happen. So as you can see, it's quite barren, but they've got sort of plaques and signs around telling you about the history of the place and how it was built and what happened there and when Hitler and he were born and stuff like that. But honestly, just as a piece of architecture, it's worth visiting.
So let us move back to Neuschwanstein and start on the Romantic Road. So the Romantic Road was created by the Germans in the 50s, and it was designed purely, like most of these roads are or routes are, to invite people to come to the area. So they needed obviously money to come in from tourism so that they could rebuild. It's about 250 miles. And you can actually drive it in a day. It covers 14 places, and if I'm honest with you, I think a few of them are a stretch. Having done the Black Forest and places like Füssen and Neuschwanstein, you're going to find a few of them are just like, yeah, all right, it's a town. But some of them are incredible. Rothenburg, I would highly, highly recommend you visit just for a few hours. It's a really pretty village town, small town maybe. It's got these medieval walls that you can walk around, which is really quite good fun. It's also got a Christmas shop that's open all year. I was quite excited by this, and it is definitely, you just walk in, it's really cool. But the best bit about it is the Schneeballen, which are basically snowballs. So they're fried pastry, and then you drop them in either sugar or chocolate. They're just fried deliciousness, so you need to go and sample one of them. And then the other place that I would recommend on the route is Würzburg. Now Würzburg is the other end of the Romantic Road. Obviously it's a road, you can drive it in either direction, but Würzburg has got a couple of really impressive things. They've got the Marienburg Fortress, which is a museum which was the home of the Prince Bishops for about 5 centuries. And it's also got the Würzburg Residence, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's a really impressive palace dating back to the 18th century. So both of those are worth at least looking at, even if you don't want to go around them if you're all toured out by this point. They are worth seeing. And then one more just to add on to our itinerary that kind of closes the circle a little bit is Heidelberg. I loved Heidelberg. It's got this incredible castle back from the 15th century, and it's also home to Germany's oldest university. So it's just got a load of history. It's got this really, really fun atmosphere. It's a really nice place. One thing that I would say is that parking was not good when you are almost an 8-metre motorhome with a 2-metre trailer. We really struggled to park. There are airs and there were some parking spots, but we were too long. So if you have got a bigger vehicle, just be careful with that. But we did find somewhere that we could get off and have a little wander around, and we had a nice pizza. There was a really good pizza there. Right, I have thrown a ridiculous amount of information at you there. Don't forget, if you want to get your free Europe checklist, you can do that at the link. And also our book is on sale at the moment, our Europe motorhoming book. We've also got that as an ebook and also as a full toolkit with videos. I will leave all the links below for you. And if you do want to see more of our adventures, then you can absolutely follow us on Instagram and on Facebook, and of course here on YouTube. I hope you found that useful. Thank you very much for your time, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.